Hello, buddy. I'm Overhaul, and today we'll be talking about the ending of My Hero Academia Paranormal Liberation Front War arc. And oh my devil, how this arc ended. The usual disclaimer in the beginning of the videos. I'm not a kid-specific channel. Although topics I discuss and I might come up like they're for kids, I'll very likely to start talking about things that are too mature, which considering the fact that we're talking about a war that one person ended up with what honestly looks like a liver missing is not inaccurate. Either start using words that are not for kids, because curse words are so mature, and all in all, public just using things that kids are not allowed to hear. So if you're a child, I would advise you not to watch this video. As for anyone else, let's begin. So, what to start off talking about? You know what? Let's just, for the simplicity's sake, let's start just talking about all the reveals we had this arc. Because for a what we had a ton of reveals. I mean, we got revealed to what's the fourth awful one for users quirk is. We got Dobby finally being revealed to be Tora to the Roki. We got revealed Mr. Kapaska's lineage in relation to Ojihama, one of the three great villains of Japan. Well, although it should be currently four great villains of Japan since, Shigaraki. We got Mirio revealed to return. We had Bash Genius. We had Bash Genius returning. And I'm honestly probably already forgetting something, but like we had a lot of reveals in this arc. To say the least. To say the least. All these reveals to me, if they lacked in some area, they made up in others. For example, WB revealed Todoroki. The way it reveal was honestly predictable. I feel like everyone at this point kind of knew it. I believe it was even a meme at the beginning of the arc where Dobby just had like Black Hawk when what he said to Hawks, and then we finally got revealed, and the reveal was more the way how it was shown with Dobby just dancing on Gigantomachia saying "Let's dance in hell" and Todoroki, and doing the whole thing where he's like you can act like you what you did doing now is better, but guess what? Your past is the past. It never forgets. And I also like the fact that Dobby's reveal did kind of like call back, and so the difference between Shoto and Dobby as well, because I'm not sure how many remember this, but during the the tournament arc in the beginning of My Academia, during Shoto versus Izuku, there was a scene where Izuku was, you might be his son, but your flames aren't his. Which does show the contrast between Dobby, who actively says that every person I kill, those are your flames, Angie. That's your fault. Is great to see. And the expressions on Endeavor, honestly, this entire arc you could say, but especially his on him in the last really sells how broken he is. Like he is seriously trying to say you can't be. That's impossible. You're lying. You're trying to trick us. You're trying to do anything. But even he, though he was refusing it, he's like, all right, his quirk matches Toya. His hair color would match Toya, and technically we only found a lower part of his jaw, which I don't know if you noticed, but Dobby does have a little, I guess, a little. Some Dobby does seem to have like something on his jaw since he also has that like kind of closed. So, like, needless to say, Angie's expressions are excellent. And the final parts where he just punches Gigantomachia after all this reveal and all that was truly, since you can tell, like that was literally all he had in tank. Like if that punch wasn't going to knock Gigantomachia out, then literally nothing he would be able to do afterwards. Like truly a masterpiece in of writing. I mean, not the best in his. I'm sure there are better you can find, but this was like really well. And although other reveals such as Mirio, Bash Genius, and Kopaska were also done really well, there is a certain like more fan servicey, like us find out more about Kopaska literally being connected to one of the three great villain overlords. Like it does make sense. I mean that overlord was mentioned and that no one mentions him afterwards. Also, some people are questioning about the timeline here a bit for these villains, and I'm going to say Ojihama it was most likely one of the first, like, was in the first generations, like maybe at the very end of the first ones. Like, all for one believe was there to be at the beginning, like when quirks first become prominent, and Udashtu was, I believe, said to still be when the society was kind of getting new to this, was kind of getting used to it. So I think OG was somewhere during that time period, like maybe when the heroes started. That's when OG showed up. Since I believe there was some time between quirks starting to pop out and the Hero Society. I believe that was the case. So I'm guessing somewhere in between, like, and I do believe we got a sort of a timeline on it. Like, we find out that that OG is like Kopaska's great great grandfather, I believe. So that does make me think that he is around the third, second, fourth 1-4 user time period. Probably the oldest of the three or the youngest of the three legendary criminals. But needless to say, it's not really that major, but just something to talk about. So yeah, Bajian's reveal was honestly more or less just there to like have a way they could escape and defeat and capture Gigantomachia. I'm still questioning how they're gonna transport Gigantomachia, which, in case you're wondering, we are going through this that. So yeah, we'll be going over the statuses of the villains and the heroes at the end. But yeah, nothing real that major. Joe from BSG is just there to win. Mirio also feels like he was more there just for the captain to have like a realistic way to survive, because at the end it was a broken Izuku, which let's look. I'm not going to go in detail with the character's progressions and all, but needless to say, I feel like this arc will impact Izuku majorly, especially the final lines of it where Izuku is like, even though you're an unforgivable villain, you look like you need saving, and I will save you for that. So, yeah, those are strong lines, and Hikoshi really sells us how broken Izuku is right now. I mean, until like the last chapter, I wasn't even like fully like know how Izuku's arms looked like. I mean, they were broken, obviously. In fact, I'm wondering if in this arc, Izuku's arcs are like 3 times or something. 3 more fights like those with your arms and your gun are at its limit. Like, one more time and your arms to the dissection table, because yeah, no more useful. Which, I would be honest to you, considering the type of a series My Hero Academia is, I could imagine losing an arm would actually mean something. I mean, granted, we have Eri, but I mean, in terms of other animes, how reliable is Eri compared to the rest? Especially compared to Black Clover, where honestly I feel like every arc to bottom tries to get a new way to heal characters quickly. But yeah, needless to say, those repercussions I feel like would be very major. In fact, I wouldn't be surprised if he gets like robotic prosthetics, which honestly feels like a lot of heroes are going to need after this arc. Well, do need. So say, Do not be surprised if we get, alright, we need to get every hero company to start working on robotic limbs. I wonder if that's possible. It probably is. But yeah, Izuku broken can basically. Shoto, the power gap between Nabi's flames and Shoto's ice and fire is obvious. Endeavor unconscious on the ground. Vegeta's, the more he tries to restrain, the harder, the more damage he takes because he's not able to go to full power. Bakugo, also major injury, still debatable if he'll die. Like the volume of the next of volume cover of volume 29 honestly seems like the one of those like, yeah, it's overtype volumes. Like, granted, it's definitely questionable, but I would not be surprised if it happens. And that's not you. And Ida, I believe, was more or less fine, which is fine considering that he was most likely the weakest person in there. Haru was half burned. Seriously, Mira was only there just to have the character survive for that long because those four near higher Nomus would kill them if Mira wasn't there. Let's be real. Also, just in case some of you are wondering, what I think Mira meant when he said all of these are on the levels of the higher Nomu who attack Endeavor in the Pro Hero arc, I think they were referring to physical strength. Like if you put them and the Hood in a room to like punch each other or punch something, the scale of destruction from punches would be the same. Not like in a straight on fight, they would be able to debatably beat. No, they better be able to defeat Hood. Like, just physical strength. Like, being punched by one of these would be equal to being punched by Hood. That's what I think it was supposed to mean. It probably would be clarified. I would not be surprised. I mean, Rikoshi already clarified about Skeptic, because in the last chapter it was shown where Skeptic was, which he did say he'll correct in the volume release. But if you look at the spell where they are compressed, you kind of see like a little something like a marble going to spin his hair, and that's where I guess Skeptic is going to be. So yeah, do not focus on the that's what I think it was supposed to mean. So yeah, Mia was mostly there just to have the character survive because honestly, if Mia wasn't there, I would honestly imagine there would be no reason for All For One Shiraki to retreat. I mean, let's think about this for a second. I mean, Ida would be the only one who was at full health. Vegeta's would either have to focus on, would have to still, was I believe still focusing a bit on the Jigen to Makia, so then he'll just get hit. Ida is there, but I don't see him like beating. Even in the battle, I don't believe he did that much. I think it was just like a couple of kicks and then like running away. So yeah, So yeah, I really think we were just there for the heroes to have a realistic victory because let's go for this. Most of the pro heroes are either way back in the city, in an unruined spot, I would say, which I believe they're somewhere in the middle of the ruins. And with psychics dealing with the near higher nomus on the other side and already losing half their numbers. Not to mention the fact that everyone else who was there was some of them will already have to be taken away to the hospital since, well, needless to say, I don't think Aizawa and Miracle are exactly in the top peaks, who are also extremely damaged and may need some robotic prosthetics. And Miracle maybe not even being able to get any robotic prosthetics because I'm pretty sure you can use robotics to fix the fact you have your what would be called liver completely punctured. Like, Miracle is wrecked beyond belief, which makes it even more concerning for Meliona, considering the fact that considering how similar the beginning is. But yeah, needless to say, things are horrible. And you're not gonna be honest, one thing that annoys me a bit about My Academia is the fact that fights aren't really as over the top as other series. But in this arc, I believe the over the topness was unnecessary. Like, you have Shigaraki destroying half the city, you have Izuku just raving on Shigaraki with his awful one. Like, you have Gigantomachia just like making giant attacks over and over and over, over and over and over again. So yeah, the fights were as over the top as you can possibly get. So now let's talk about the repercussions, because this arc had a lot of repercussions. The bloody and beaten characters aside, since again, My Academia is an anime, and although My Academia does technically take a character being damaged as a little more important thing than other series, there's still a way you can fix it around. Like, I believe Aizawa is still going to be able to fight afterwards. I believe under Shonen Jump Festa, he was just going to show that he was going to have one eye, which does make him which I do believe he can still use his quirk technically. And you used to have Eri. Like, there is a way you can work around it. Or maybe you just gotta have more touch on the students, since most of the students only have that much of a feed in terms of power scalings in this arc. So yeah, needless to so yeah, Cap. So aside from physical damage on the heroes and reducing their numbers, it's I believe I honestly want to say about half the heroes are done at this point, including the sidekicks. I mean, half of them, I believe they were split evenly, or at least half and half, when it came to Villa and and the hospital raid. All the heroes that went into, well, most of the heroes that went to the mansion raid are probably dead. Or honestly, it's questionable. They could even be. I mean, most of that. The ones who went up against the Nihai Nomus, I believe, were also said to be half that. The only ones who I don't believe were affected were the ones who were in the city, but even those I feel like could probably be killed by Gigantomachia just wrecking through everything. Then you have the Villa raid, which granted I don't believe there was such insane numbers of that people, but pretty significant. Midnight's definitely on the candidate list. So, needless to say, there was a lot of chaos, a lot of that, and just, like, needless to say, saying that the heroes are reducing themselves in numbers about to half what they are, if not even less, is not that big of a problem. What is a problem is Darby revealing his identity to the public and revealing everything. Skeptic was not wrong when he said, "What an ace up a sleeve." So, yeah, let's talk about this. The repercussions. The repercussions are major, obviously. The question now is, how will they be used? Because, well, there is a certain being to Darby's credibility, since he also stated the Hawks killed Best Genius, but Best Genius is alive. Like, he is. You can't argue that fact. The Nihai and Nomus didn't kill Best Genius. Darby didn't burn Best Genius to a crisp, so you can't even argue that. Like, Best Genius straight up alive. Be even worse, but alive. Now, I feel like that might be something what people could use, but the thing is, although they can argue for Best Genius, they can't really argue for twice. Like, there's literal footage of Hawks killing twice. And Hawk, the way he was raised means the public doesn't really know much. Meaning that saying that Hawks' father is a killer who doesn't exactly sound like something people would not believe. Not to mention the fact that the media in My Academia hasn't exactly been on their side the most. I mean, needless to say, they were very similar to how the media is when it comes to Trump, if you know what I mean. Like, they are. Watch the conference about when Bakugo was kidnapped, where they were like, why did you allow the students to fight back and use their quirks to fight those villains? a worst case scenario, about half of them are in hospital right now. One of them was kidnapped, and a couple of them who are conscious right now were in critical condition. How can this not be considered a worst case scenario? Like, needless to say, I would not be surprised if there will be some news report being like, if you really think about it, it's possible that they were just hiding it. I mean, Bash Genius definitely disappeared. Like, a lot of people forget the fact that Bash Genius was like missing by the public, and that doesn't exactly help that case. In fact, that kind of helps Dami's case since, well, he thought Bash Genius was that. So if Bash Genius was alive and he was missing for a while, then that does hit the credibility scale. At least that he was just misled by that. So, and then we have Endeavor, who, let's be real here, a lot of people already kind of have a problem with Endeavor, so I wouldn't be surprised if some, like the Can't You See kid, definitely are gonna be, no, that isn't true, but some will look more into it. I mean, he doesn't have public presence, and the fact that they probably won't, that this time he can avoid it, will definitely be a problem. And now let's not even forget about the emotional and mental trauma some of these heroes got. Like, sure, characters like Hiroshima who managed to go past his fears, but characters like Mina who in the last minute when the time came to shove, she failed and completely fell in terror from Gigantomachia, that could be emotional problems. In fact, I would not be surprised if characters like going through this, like in Young Justice when it was good, and that in the first season when they kind of had that like therapy episode when they explained their troubles, I would not be surprised if the next arc is literally going to mostly be that. Sure, we'll have some major events and we're not going to go through everyone, but I can imagine like Kaminari sitting down and having it. I can imagine Izuku sitting down and having it. I can imagine Bakugo, if he's conscious, even Izuku himself are probably questionable in terms of how much they could do, sitting down and talking about it. In fact, I mean, honestly, some people might say it would be boring, which it would be, but I feel like we could do it in a more fun way. Like, maybe we had like one more important moment, and then we have like two pages or 3 pages, a couple of pages to like go through what everyone's thinking. Like, I could imagine we get this because the thing is, Hikoshi writes this to be realistic, and alright, as let's be real here. If this happened to anyone in the real world, we'll definitely be like traumatic. For example, look at Black Clover. Black Clover doesn't really look like it's going to go through the trauma of it. Like, it's very quick in Black Clover when it comes to this type of stuff. It's usually just like maybe a couple of pages to lean on it to like really get you to feel, and then like, alright, but I am still determined. Like, let's look at Noelle. I have bones to pay for that one for a while. Like, after Vonica, Vonica completely dominant. Vonica couldn't have even been defeated. She could only have been captured. And that failed. Did someone just release a giant orc monster or something? No, who cares? So yeah, after all that, getting that, and fight, and then explosion, and barely surviving. In fact, it wasn't until they woke up and asked that they knew everyone was safe. They immediately go back to fight. Like, I do not feel like the next story should really have the characters like going right into the action. Like, alright, we need to go track them down right now, right? We have to, like, I'm sure the people like the government, like the execs, will be like that, but the heroes I feel like are just gonna be done. The students are gonna be done. Like, they do not have the strength and the emotional stability to go through it. They just can't. And now let's talk about the villains. They are currently scattered. They have no idea who they have to. I'm not sure how much of a communication they have among each other. I mean, all for one, Shiraki does have Spinner, does have Skeptic, and he might be able to get more of a regroup up. I can honestly imagine like those members who've been running around the stage to like get Skeptic squad being like, hey, alright, we are here and come to us all here. So, and I can honestly, not to mention the fact that Toga was left behind, Kubasa could be dead. Who really? So it's question more. Did I also feel betrayed? Kind of like they left me. Like I'm not exactly sure how we are gonna go through this. Like things are not. Both sides are scattered and are currently need to regroup to really think things through and get back in their on their horse. So yeah. Now let's for the ending go through the status of of most characters. Izuku, Bakugo, Ida, Mio, Bashinas, Endeavor, Shoto, Nejire are still in that center of the fight when the final battle with Chiraki happened. And they are some of them need more attention with Miyako and Ida being the only two who don't really need it. Mostly because they came last and didn't really do anything major, so just appearing, being there. Then we have very much of sidekicks who are approaching their position. Present Mike is running towards them, but I'm guessing that he'll just regroup when everyone else is already gonna be regrouped. Rocklock, Manuel, Akarin, Aizawa, and Ryuko and Gran Torino to the medics, and I believe they already reached them, with Mirko already being treated to. Well, Chaco and Tsuyu are most likely regrouped with the remaining heroes who have been killed by Gigantomachia in the city with Koda probably, and I also believe there was that manga guy from Class 1B. Then as for the villain mentioned, right, the Class 1A are currently helping the injured heroes who are undead because of Gigantomachia to move. Gang Orca, Fat Gum, Amajiki, and I'm not sure if there's any other notable members, are currently either, it's unclear if they are dead or just need medical work. I think they need medical work, with the magic hero being the closest one-to-one, I would say, is probably that, since there was that kind of like last moment where he's like, Momo, you did great. This is now the job of the heroes. Go. So I could see him that. Like I don't think anyone's gonna really care much, but just something to mention. Then as for Mount Lady, she is very likely that, since I do not believe that panel when we see her on the floor that there was like any unconscious bodies of the Paranormal Liberation Fund members. It could have been, but we don't know. Which really sucks for Zenmark and Aizawa, because first one of their friends is not a Kuruguri now, and Midnight, not one of their closest friends, is most likely that. I'm not sure. I'm guessing we're gonna get revealed pretty quickly. In fact, I can imagine like the next chapter just being like going through all the names. Maybe not the next chapter, but maybe like a really close chapter going through all the names of people that, like Wash, Pixie Bob, Mandalay. I mean, we don't know exactly those are that. In fact, I forgot to mention them, but last time we saw them was when they were being approached by that destruction wave, and we didn't see them. So it's possible they're that, or just somewhere in the city they couldn't really get into it. So yeah, things are not looking good. So I can also just imagine. So until like we get like information, it's unclear. But I'm guessing that unless if we see, I believe 5 of them, 5 Paranormal Fund members like unconscious, which I don't believe we got set off. So yeah, that goes for Midnight. Well, Adshot and Samantha, and I also believe the Beast Hero, well, I believe, were the mansion last time we saw them, and they were fighting against. Well, we didn't see. Also mentioned joke. I don't believe we saw directly what they were doing, but we know Samantha and Adshot will find Ridastro and Geten. I'm not sure where they are. I'm guessing that maybe doing this struggle or something, they kind of like just retreated and backed away or something. Like, I could imagine something like that happening. I really don't see like Adshot, Udastro, and Gaten like just either one of them beating the floor off screen. I could imagine them like going separately away or something, like something happened that had them separate. So yeah, that I believe is the status. Now as for the villains, Shigaraki, Spinner, Skeptic Dobby, and the Nihai Nomus, who was alive and have been captured by Best Genius in the last seconds, are currently retreating. Where? Who knows? Maybe some kind of secret lair. Maybe that line about All for One having a bunch of supporters who will be used against, and you could. We don't know which they're going, but we know they're penetrating from the area. Toga is somewhere in the city. Since the Paranormal Ambition Fund soldiers were like running behind Gigantomachia, I could imagine her like regrouping with them, or maybe like hiding somewhere and looking for them. Since she did promise to Spinner that she'll regroup and maybe, and I don't believe she would be aware that they left behind. Maybe it was like something like, "Ooh, we just needed to because of this and this." Now I think about it, Uchiko is also there, so maybe she'll team up with him and find him and save him. Who knows? Don't be surprised that happens. So Ujiko is captured by the police and was restrained last time we saw him. Maybe Udoga will come across him. Maybe remember, hey, he kind of resembles that, and he does kind of speak like him. So I should go and save him. Who knows really? Gigantomachia was left behind, and he is probably going to be captured. And I'm guessing he'll be escape once Shigaki or Ofo Shigaki give him his command to go away, to get outside. I'm not exactly giving the sentence as much credit as it would work against some normal people. So I'm not sure exactly where that could go. But I'm honestly wondering how they're gonna transport him and how they're gonna put him in tolerance, since I don't believe it was a giant cell made for Gigantomachia. So yeah, that's his status. Geten and Vidastro I already mentioned because I'm guessing they're just somewhere when blocked away. Trumpet and Gira are also there, but now ain't that much of a fighter, so I can kind of see them like going with the groups to safety or going somewhere safer or some other base. I do believe you say they have a bunch of bases around the world, around Japan, so maybe they're somewhere there. The Paranormal Version Fund soldiers, I'm guessing they're scattered somewhere, either dead, unconscious, captured, or just scattered somewhere. I'm guessing that some lieutenants are going to jump back on at some point. Not all, but who really knows? So yeah, that's pretty much the status of every character, and most of them are still unknown, unfortunately. I can imagine them being revealed in the next chapter again. But yeah, things are really taking a dark turn. Now, just a quick mention about the news about Hikoshi stating that My Academia could end. Now, although this does look like it's a really like kind of like the whole things cannot get any worse, and it's kind of big, very major thing, because I really don't think we're gonna get a sports festival 2 right after this arc, if you know what I mean. So yeah, the thing is, I take that with a grain of salt. Like, maybe the story is halfway done, and now the other half will be a more exciting story, or maybe like My Hero Academia will end, but the next series will start sequences, like how Naruto first ended, and we got Naruto Shippuden. Similar things to My Academia. My Academia is end, but I heard some people use My Hero. I believe Pineapple use that, and that's what Higoshi could have meant. Like, My Academia is ending, but My Hero will begin. I'm not sure exactly, but since it was like mentioned like directly, like we have about 200 chapters left, about 5 years left. We didn't get that, and also I could imagine like this is just Hiroshi anticipating right now, but maybe the execs will be like, actually you could continue it. Although considering the fact that Shonen Jump's execs aren't exactly the most reliable people when it comes to runtime for a series, maybe that's wouldn't be the case. But yeah. Anyways, I don't think that's anything like something to like take a note of until it's like we get a more exact detail. I mean, I literally would be surprised if the reason why Hiroshi sat as he did was just so it would be like, yeah, oh yeah, My Academia is going to be ending very soon. I'm gonna be working on making it as fast as possible. Bye. I believe it was literally stated that that's what happened. Like, it was fun a couple of seconds and his jump faster stuff, and that's what he just said, and then just went. Wouldn't be surprised at all if that was just not like a troll moment. So yeah, that's what my opinion on that. And again, this arc was amazing. It was a really awesome fight. It was a bunch of great character, great reveals, final reveal, and just amazing. And now with My Academia's work on the close, it's only Spade Kingdom and One Piece Beast War arcs to go through. And those two are probably gonna take forever as well. So anyways, I hope you liked this video. I hope you're gonna leave a like and subscribe to this channel for more videos in the future. And with that said, I cannot wait to see all people next time. Bye.